I am Jeff Foxworthy, and welcome to Gamekeeper Podcast. If you want to learn more about farming for wildlife and habitat management, then, buddy, you are in the right place. Join the Gamekeeper crew direct from Mossy Oak Land Enhancement Studio as they discuss the latest wildlife and habitat management practices, news, and, of course, hunting. There's no telling what you'll learn, but I'm going to tell you, I bet it's interesting. Enjoy.
We're live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, everybody, West Point, Mississippi, welcome. Home of Mossy Oak. We're in Mississippi, which is next door to Alabama.
Alabama
is also the home of the #1 ranked basketball team.
You know, why did you bring this
Auburn Tigers.
Yes, I mean, they're #1.
Are they sponsoring the show or something?
No,
we don't need to bring that up
I had to
anymore.
get that out. So turkey season's on the horizon. I'm watching a lot of basketball, too.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And, it's very exciting. So, but today, guys, this is going to be a lot of fun. There's a company that's been around a long time, got a lot of history.
Yeah, a lot of history with us.
We're going to be talking turkey calls with them. Let me go ahead and get them introduced. They can be in all the conversation here. But we've got Mr. Mike Pentecost.
Of course.
Go, John.
And then we've got his son, Isaac.
Hey.
You're not going to give him a horns, John?
Come
No
on.
horns?
Come
No
on,
horns
John.
for Isaac?
This
What
is
about a
pitiful.
gobble? What about a gobble?
There it is.
Oh, my goodness. And I will say, Isaac's got the fanciest cowboy boots I've ever seen.
I heard we were coming to the Mossy Oak Gamekeepers podcast, and I ripped off the covers. I was like, these I'm pulling out the big guns today.
They look good.
Good
over
answer.
there.
Good
What
answer.
kind of skins are
Look at
those?
here, y'all. Look,
An
I've
ostrich.
got a brand new pair of tennis shoes.
Yeah.
I went home and got them at lunch.
I got the same old
They
boots.
match
I
your
always
shirt.
wear.
That's right.
Those are some good looking boots, though.
I had a buddy that used to
Very-
turkey hunt in his ostrich skin cowboy boots.
Really?
I thought he was crazy.
I got a
you
buddy
know,
that
I know-
turkey hunts barefooted.
I know
And then
what.
I've got a buddy that wears a brown tie when he goes turkey hunting.
Okay.
What
let's-
kind of
let's-
weirdos you hang
Let's get this.
Well, he's Doug Morgan. He makes turkey calls,
Yep.
but
Oh, well, I'm sorry, Doug. I didn't mean to
he
call
says
you weirdo.
the turkey deserves the like he's dressing up. It's that big of a deal to him.
Whatever works.
Hey, that's pretty cool. I retract my
Well,
statement.
you do know that I have a gobbler coffin that I give my turkeys their last ride in the
I've
pine.
seen
I've heard
the
about
coffin.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you?
I should have brought you that. I should have let you seen the gobbler coffin and the blood stains in it. It's pretty cool.
Does it stay in your truck all spring?
Yeah, as much as I can. We don't get to take it on them flights.
That's
when
right.
we have to fly to them far away places
Yeah.
like Mexico,
Mexico.
I don't get.
I love it. You're paying your respects.
Yeah.
It's it just one day I think, man, I kill these turkeys, and I just lay them in the back of my truck, coming back in with them and everything. I thought it be that I think the song had just played "Better Off in a Pine Box" or whatever,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I said, I ought to give them turkeys some respect, and I went in there and wood shop and stuff, and me and the guys in the back, we built a coffin, and it's the gobbler coffin.
I've never heard of such.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And the kids, when
Very
they
cool.
first started hunting, they had their little columns, and we'd put the date and what state it was in, and the date and everything. When they started when they were 6 and 7, and and then their columns got to where we couldn't just keep going. So I said, man, y'all signed enough. We know you
great.
killed them first ones and them first. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I saw
is
that
pretty
on the intranet one time.
We've heard a couple of that's definitely unique and very, very cool. So, tip of the hat. But at the same time, conceptually, it's similar to some other people we've talked about. And what's cool about all of them is just a reminder for me too is just stop for a minute and soak it up when you take one's life and how special it is. I know we're all on a high when it happens, but that's very cool because what he's doing makes you stop and appreciate that whole
Reflect a little
thing and
bit.
be sure, and everyone, in a lifetime there'll be a bunch of them for most of us to stop and do that, just to soak it up and appreciate it. I mean, sometimes I'll just lay there and say a little prayer. Especially if the woods are really pretty. Hopefully not, I'm not late to get somewhere and you can just stop for a minute. Anyway, I just wanted to call that
Cherish
out.
the
'cause that-
moment, that's
very,
for sure.
very cool.
I'm glad you called that
On
out
that,
because
yep.
I've been with Lanny and he does the same thing. He'll lay there like that, but he's laying there to listen to see if anybody's coming. And then once he knows nobody's going to get the turkey.
Well, you're always but you're because
You don't have to give away all the secrets.
Yeah, but Bobby, he's the one that shoots, right? Most of the time, and
I
then
would
you're
say no,
you're in a big
not
hurry
most
to
of the
move
time.
on to get you one. You know,
I don't know about that. So, look, at this juncture, Lanny, did you bring a current event? I'm going to think you didn't.
I did not bring in a current event. You didn't give me
So
my homework.
I've got a little quote. Mike, sometimes
I
on
can
these,
dig one up right quick.
I don't know, Mike. You ever listen to our podcast? Sometimes we do these little quotes, and people tell us that they like them.
I like them. Keep them coming.
So
Yep.
Dudley tells me he likes them. So
least
this
somebody
one, I kind of picked this one out because of you. And I'm looking over there at Isaac and some of these other young guys, and you're mentoring them. I'm hearing stories about you taking kids. It's real important to you. So I kind of picked this quote out in honor of you. But it says, in matters like hunting and fishing and falconry, mentors are priceless. They teach you nuance and detail and what is really important. Thought that was good.
Amen.
Short and sweet. I like it.
Yeah, Charles Fergus. I'm not sure who he is, but he had
Is he
some
a
good
turkey
words
hunter?
there. And I don't know, but,
If he
but
didn't,
he's
he
a
should
hunter
be.
or a fisherman or a falconry guy. I also saw one that I thought this one made me laugh, but one of my favorite guys is Theodore Roosevelt, and he said his quote was, "No, I'm not a good shot, but I shoot often." And that reminded me of you, Lanny, so that was in honor of you right there.
Appreciate
I
that.
thought you were going
Thought you
to
gonna-
reference our friend Jordan Lasuzo.
Oh, that's true. Or
No,
our friend Dudley. I mean,
I don't shoot enough, but I do miss.
yeah,
so.
you do. You just don't shoot. I forgot.
So, guys, well, look, we've been wanting to have y'all over here for a while, but Mike, I'd like to ask you the first question. I think you and I are probably pretty close to the same age, but I'd like to know, what stage in the whole turkey hunting lifestyle are you in? Where are you right now?
Am I going to be able to tell you my 4?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. That's
You
right.
got 4 of them. Yeah.
When to become a turkey hunter, you start out, you want to kill one. You go get your tail whooped, figuring it out. If you're trying to do it the legal way, that's the only way it ought to be. You know, turkey hunting's the gentleman's chess match. If you're doing it right, no baiting and no, stuff that's wrong. And you start out going to the woods and learning, and you want to kill one. And then you kill one, and you want to kill a few. You think, man, this is cool. I feel good about myself. I'm learning. And now I feel like I'm a turkey guy if I kill a few, kill 1 or 2 a year, whatever. And then you get to the point that you want to, kill some. I mean, you want to get after them. And then you get to that point you just want to kill them all. Because, they gobble and you just got it and you got that moxie going on.
Have to have it.
And then you get to the point that I'm now, I respect the game like y'all do. I'm at that point I want to kill a good one every now and then. For me, my enjoyment is watching my boys as they've come up. I hit a spot in my career, quote unquote, killing turkeys that I truly put it on pause for me. And, we talk a lot about taking kids and introducing new people in the outdoors, but you've got to let that greed and self get out of the way to accomplish that. You've got to put your gun down. And truly, when you put your gun down and not push push his, my kids or my friends or whoever else I'm taking and working with, I find so much enjoyment in especially mentoring them, my blood, my kids actually out there learning and seeing them experience that. So, I mean, I hit that pause button in my quote-unquote career, and they started killing. I mean, now it's just coming on, and, of course, I was going to quit. And my son Isaac sitting beside him, he said, "Dad, you can't quit. People still want to see you be successful and kill turkeys every now and then." I said, "You're right, and I'm going to stay on it. I just like to kill a good one every now and then."
Hey y'all, Jimbo here with Drake Waterfowl and Old Tom Turkey, talking about some of our new turkey stuff for this spring. This is going to be my favorite, and I hope everyone else's, the Throwback 80s collection. This is heavy duty, rugged, durable, pre-washed, 100% cotton twill that comes broken in and comfortable from the get-go. You'll love it. It's just like the old stuff you used to wear. Double layer reinforced on the knees and elbows to kind of help it hold up when you can't call and gotta crawl. Triple needle stitching for added durability. This is nice stuff. I promise you'll like it. Check it out at a dealer near you or drakewaterfowl.com/Old Tom.
Lanny, we're always in here. We always have these interesting guests, and you're always on your computer. What's up?
I'm looking at Onyx the whole time. I love the app, but I love the desktop too.
My favorite thing is Bobby doesn't know how to shut his computer down,
Yeah.
so I can go in there and share his pins to my account.
That's what you were doing in there this morning.
Yep.
Back during deer season, I shot a couple of big bucks.
Of
But,
course.
As I'm looking for them, I can
Couple.
turn on this tracking feature.
Yeah.
And I can see where I've looked.
And I use that feature too for spreading seeds, spreading fertilizer, spraying. It really keeps you on track.
Onyx is a great company. Look, we know Jared. They're hunters,
They
just
are.
like we are. So
Yes,
they're
no
serious
doubt
about
about
this.
it.
The way they've designed this thing, a hunter and a gamekeeper can take advantage of it and make their property better.
Use coupon code Mossy Oak to save 20% off of your Onyx subscription.
Yeah, and Mac, you shouldn't do that now. Richie, you got to help me. Okay.
So
Yeah, those are good words. That's wise
Yeah,
words.
that reminds what Mr. Fox says about the worm turning.
Yeah.
You know, it really does a selfless
does.
commitment to the resource.
Lanny, I'm gonna let you have the first question.
I would love to know how you got started turkey hunting.
turkey hunting.
Yes, sir.
Nobody in my family turkey hunted. I was the squirrel. My granddad and my dad took me squirrel hunting and everything when I was young, and being in the woods. But then the woods, and I think Toxie and a lot of you in here is going to understand. The woods got me.
Oh yeah.
The woods got got in my fiber.
I
my being.
resemble that remark.
I think we all do.
I do. I mean, hearing his story about how Mossy Oak was created and everything, the dirt and the leaves and stuff, the woods got in the fiber of my being, and I mean, kind of got to doing the deer hunting thing. That was the next thing, because turkey hunting and turkey hunters, I mean, I think me and Bobby and Toxie all about the same age. I mean, back when I started, it was coming up. There was no internet. There wasn't no podcast, and there wasn't no way of, VHS tapes.
No, you didn't have videos.
Didn't have
That's right.
nothing. Didn't have. These guys, y'all started a lot of that.
So did Bobby.
I mean, so I truly learned myself. The woods was my playground. That was my, so I actually got to where I would stay with flocks of turkeys. Once I figured out what I wanted to do, one of my favorite things about me is I worry about myself. I try to stay in my lane. I don't worry about what you're doing or he's doing or they saying. I try to worry about my lane. So I think I got that naturally too, because they was turkey hunters, 4 or 5 of them in my county, around my town and everything, and them guys was different to me. There was just something about them, and I said, I want to be a turkey hunter, and so I started just staying with them, staying in the woods. I mean, truly, the fiber of my being was ingrained with nature.
Yes, sir.
And the dirt and the stuff. But being with turkeys, I learned so much about being a turkey hunter by just doing something that I thought was smart at the time, and I think looking back it was. I found flocks of turkeys. I hunt 90% public land. I grew up hunting big national forests and management areas and stuff. Didn't have private. We have opportunity now because having the company and having video opportunities. We do go to other places and where we're guided or brought to a spot that people have already figured it out. But still, I hunt the national forest all the time. And that's my second nature to me. So getting started turkey hunting was all just being in the woods and learning it myself. Didn't have anybody to talk to, nobody asked a question. If I had asked one of them older guys that was then, they wouldn't have told me nothing.
That's
They'd pat you on the, oh boy, you might just go out there and kill
Good
it.
luck.
Good luck. Yeah, yep, 3 times, put that box coat down, boy. But that's how I got started turkey hunting. I don't know if people can do it, and I guarantee it's not as easy as you think. But if you can, you will become a better turkey hunter. I can look backwards now and realize how I became a turkey hunter. It's a great question on your part. It seems very simple. I'm trying to get. I know my answer is complex.
Yeah.
But if you think about it through, if you think about what I'm telling you, it makes a whole lot of sense. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but now looking backwards, what I did to learn to become a turkey hunter was I found flocks of turkeys, and I would stay with them. I'd be there when they flew down. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how to call, didn't know nothing about it, didn't have a gun. I would stay with every time I could get in the woods and stay gone in the woods. I mean, we didn't have cell phones, and I don't know how I ain't bit by a snake and dead on the backside of nowhere. All broke a neck, broke a leg.
Especially around there.
I mean, I just took rations, provisions that I could do, built fire, stayed in the woods, man. But I would stay with a flock of turkeys and listen and watch the hens and the younger turkeys, and then of course I'd find gobblers and stuff sometimes. I mean, I just stayed with them, and I listened, and I learned, I watched, I observed. I get picked off or something, they would bust, and they would go there, and I would go.
That was before you started wearing moss yoke.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was pre-bottomland.
I just want to get that out there for the public.
Well, sometimes I didn't have, I tell you what, I'll tell you a good one here. I took them old white Converse tennis shoes and them colored markers, and I made me some
slipping shoes.
Yeah, before I could afford to buy any bottomland. I seen that bottomland. When Jim Crum and them came out with that tree bark stuff, that was in '80, and I had graduated. I graduated in '80. Y'all must have been about that same time, and graduated high school in '80. And I was 17 years old, and I mean, I forget how I confiscated me some of that. That was the first I'd ever seen was the tree bark, and then that. When the bottomland came along, that was a game changer. I'll never forget the first person I ever saw bottomland on was a man named Cliff Clegg, and he was a businessman, and he was in my county and everything. And I remember seeing Cliff Clegg, and I think he'd bought it straight from y'all right off the telephone at the time. You called in and got it.
That's the only place you could get it.
That's right, and that was in '86. I get y'all just came out. Cliff was on. I was the first person I saw wear bottomland. But when I seen that, I said, that right there that's something. But I mean, staying with turkeys.
Yeah,
if you try that, any challenge,
so
stay with them. Stay with them, and then when they move around. Figure out, I made a lot of mistakes, but man, what I learned, what I gained.
It makes a lot of sense.
I mean, because I could move in the woods, and I learned so much about how to move on them when I was messing up.
Like what you could get away with.
Yep, learned a lot.
And what they sound like.
Tremendous. The sound.
So, a little similarity in that. The whole thing that drove me to starting as a kid with Daddy too was like, it literally just crushed my soul when I spooked them. Mm-hmm. And so. And especially then, when I got a little bit older, I could even stand up to him a little bit and have an opinion about it because that was the whole argument about no, son, we got Daddy, we got to get up there, whatever 50, 100 yards or something closer before they fly down. We got to sir, we got to back up from here. And I was like, we got to at least just sit down here. We're closer. They're like, no, we got to build the blind. You could not hunt. You couldn't even contemplate hunting without a blind first, and that I got so frustrated with that. I think that's what pushed me to try to come up with something. So it's like if I could just sit down wherever I needed to, and it would blend in just perfect. That's what I was after.
That's a frantic few minutes.
It is, and that's what it's very similar to what he's talking about. I mean, it broke my heart to spook one. Just deer was bad enough, but to spook a turkey, oh my gosh. Yeah. It was traumatic.
The good thing about me is I didn't have that. I mean, the bad thing, good thing. I'm so, in awe and respectful of what the relationship you've had with your dad, keeping up with y'all's history and everything. But, my dad didn't do much hunting like that. I mean, and turkey hunting wasn't, he just worked. And I've learned how to just work.
Yeah, you also learned that lesson too.
That's a good one.
Yeah, you did. You do. You're a role model about work ethic.
I didn't get the so the good thing is the only guy that I disappointed was me, But I'm like you. I never thought about what the statement, even at this point in my life, in my career, turkey hunting, is the statement you just made. You know, and I realized I felt exactly, but I never realized to this minute till he just said that. It broke my heart. I felt like I had done something. You know, it's like my balloon deflated. You know.
Oh yeah.
It is when I made a mistake. But I'll tell you a good one right now to finish this, and so you can go to the next question or something. Because I realize now, the same way I feel now, I felt back then because I was all by myself and in the deep, deep woods and eating whatever I had to, and I had to learn how to eat my own cooking and blah, blah, blah. But being me is kind of like peeing in a wetsuit. I get a warm, wet feeling, but nobody notices.
That's one I haven't heard before.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
I'm going to write that one down.
That's one that you need
Try
to
use
write
that
down.
next week.
Yeah, but everybody's heard it, so you won't be able to use it now.
So when we're going to get into WoodHaven and start of your business, but you hunting this public ground. There's a lot of public ground where you are. Could you kind of go through how you start the morning when you standing on top of that ridge or halfway down the ridge or at the bottom? It's still dark. Can you go through your routine of if you think there's a bird out there at 200 yards?
Well, I'm going to try to get myself in a position I know there's a bird out there to the best of my ability, you know. Sometimes, you know, turkeys are going to be turkeys. I mean, if I've got a quote unquote, I heard a guy say that one time and I've said it, turkeys are going to be turkeys. And they're going to do turkey things. And so I know what he should do. I know what should happen. I know where hens are, where I'm hearing gobbling. So I'm letting that morning, generally, turkeys could be roosted right by the road, and you walk for 2 hours to get back in the middle of the wilderness, and they may not be no turkeys back there. You're going to a spot that they ain't there. I can read those topo maps. So when I came up, we didn't have these phones with these great Onyx and hunt stands and different things in these apparatuses. I can remember when I got my first, I didn't even think what them things
Like
are called.
a GPS?
GPS. When you could satellite, you know, the satellites, if you had to get a signal, you could, and I remember getting that was a game changer. You know, it was, and then of course these phones and everything now, all that stuff is unbelievable. But see, again, where I feel like those of us that's done it the old way and the hard way, I truly had dig up the topo maps, and you could order them from about, you know, the government had this stuff done, you know, you could order a grid coordinate and everything. So I had topo maps and a compass. I mean, you learn about being a woodsman. Woodsmanship, and you know, that'll come up somewhere in this conversation, and I don't need to get too far away from your topic, Bobby, to answer your question, but woodsmanship, and no doubt, woodsmanship is no different than what Tox was saying about his dad was saying, we got to back up, that was woodsmanship. He knew how he wanted to play and how to play turkeys. But in the morning, I'm one of those guys I'm cautious, because I don't want to break my heart. I'm going to remember that one on you. It breaks my heart when I make a mistake. When I've done the hard work to get there, and if I make a mistake, it breaks my heart. I got to remember that one. So I'm going to be cautious. I hope I've taught these kids how to be cautious, you know, how not to break silhouette. Don't be seen. Don't top ridges. We don't walk ridges a lot of time when it's easy. There's so many tips I could give somebody about woodsmanship and actually being on turkeys. But if I'm at a point, I want to try to get that sun to my back. I'm going, you know, if I'm going to hunt this area, I'm going to try to approach from the east so I can have the sun to my back. You know, a lot of factors and a lot of things carry into that because of weather, temperature, time of the year, where they're roosting. You know, turkeys roost at different heights and everything too during the year, and there's a lot of things that just goes in that equation. But I'm going to be where I have that sun to my back, and I got to consider that wind. In the mountains that I hunt, and I was born and raised in hunting, that wind can play. I hate wind. I hate rain, hate wind. Who don't? But Yeah, I'll tell you one about the range. One of y'all asked me that question about the rain. I'll tell you something on that. But wind, I can play that wind in my favor if I approach the right way. If I've got a strong north wind that day, if I go down on the south side, the turkey ain't going to be on that north side. He's not going to face that wind if he don't have to. And he's going to be down. So, I mean, I know a lot of factors, but I figure a lot of factors in my head before I go to start the morning. Starting the morning is what's your question. I'm 5 minutes or 7 minutes down the road to get back to your question. I'm going to listen. I'm not going to give him nothing until I think it's absolutely. I'm going to let the woods wake up and do their thing. I like Toxie's thought from years ago. Hey, he only gives us so many mornings. I ain't going to miss none of them. I'm going to be there as best I can. If I'm just listening and I got to get back to, I have to learn a long game, short game that is what I've had to call, because as the company grew and everything, I couldn't just go hunt all day and just be gone and I had responsibilities. So a lot of times I had to go and listen and get back and say, okay, one gobbled here and two gobbled, and if one was close enough, I could work him, I'd get on him. And then as the season got further along, I could go about April 15th. That's when I could start going. Turkey call sales was slowing down some, man. I wasn't having to be in there shipping, making sure everything was going. So I could get and go longer days. And that's more fun because you could hunt, it didn't have to be that short game. I could afford to do those long walks in and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to say anything till I let those first crows, real owls. I don't owl hoot loud. We've got some great owl hooters and some guys that can run them really, really well. And, our ninja owl is if we'd have brought one, these guys can blow them real good. I didn't have anything to do with designing that call. Rip and some of the other guys did. Scott Ellis had input on it and everything. So anyway, I don't do that. If I do anything, I built a wood, a little small, I call it a little whistle type, but I like the sound of wood over plastic, myself. And I don't do anything. If I do any kind of owling, it's soft and easy, and I want the real critters to do.
So you're just trying to get the owls going.
Yeah, if I just give something, because they can hear way more than than we can. But I don't do 90% of the time. I do nothing. But the first thing I might do is give a low volume owl hoot, but trying to get another owl to answer me somewhere out there. But I'm listening for that first crow. That is if I ain't heard a gobble by that first crow, I'm on pins and needles waiting on that first crow to go. And because that's when the spark plugs is hitting. When them crows start doing their thing, it's go time. And then I just adjust from that. I mean, where I hear the gobble, and if I hear hens waking up, what's going on, the elevation of the turkeys. I don't think people think about that as much. Of course, y'all hunt a lot of flat ground and everything, and I don't hunt. Turkeys going to be turkeys. They're going to do turkey things no matter if you're in flat ground, sandy land, swamp, whatever. They're going to be turkeys, but you've got to adapt to those conditions. Me, again, it won't matter where I'm at. I'm going to be stoic and let it wake up on its own, and then I'm going to make my adjustment and my move. If I'm in my woods on something on my terms that I know well, a lot of things about the elevation of where those turkeys are and everything tells me a lot of keys.
And when you were talking about through the year they are adjusting where they're roosting, is that on hilltops or are you talking about actually in trees? You're right, we're on the
hills.
flat.
Yeah, hills. I hunt mountains and everything like that. So, I mean, and the break in terrain, you hear about saddles and terrain, everything, over creeks, y'all understand the flat ground stuff, but y'all have swamps and creeks and stuff. We don't have all that much swamp where I'm at, but we do have the creeks and the streams. But the topography, it doesn't matter. The big word here is topography. I mean, that means everything. And those clues, again, from that database of mess ups and broken hearts and all that stuff, that tells me so much about how I'm going to lay that next card down. Where I ask that dealer for two more, and that next card
where
going.
he is in relation on the elevation. Interesting.
So when you're hunting on public, which you said you're doing most of the time,
90%.
Are you setting up, like, are you sitting with your back to a tree when you get in the woods to do that listening you were talking about? Or are you kind of in a spot where you're like, I'm just going to listen here and I'm going to, make a move? I mean, I'm sure you do both.
Both.
But what
both.
do you?
Very good question, because anytime I stop to observe, listen, or call, especially when we start the call section of this game, I'm going to stop in a shaded area and by, if and when possible, a tree that breaks up my silhouette, But that may not be where I need to be to kill a turkey. A lot of times I got to fine tune and make that adjustment. But I always try to stop out of roadbeds, out of any sunlight, in shade, to listen. And it does matter. If you want to up your chances, it matters where you're standing and where you're sitting. A lot of times I do just sit on down. And especially as I've got older, and depending on how far I'm walking and everything, I just go ahead and get down and be sitting, at least I'm lower, in case there is a turkey closer than I think. If I haven't been able to roost him the night before or whatever, I don't know where that turkey is, and I don't want to break my heart. I don't want to make no mistakes. I'm going to tell you, that burned in me right there. I'm going to go ahead, a lot of times, and just sit down, because we've all been there, be standing there and one, you think, oh gosh, how am I going to get crawled? How am I going to get to the ground and get to that tree, without him seeing me? So again, taking that equation of being standing upright versus just go ahead and squatting down or sitting down, I'm going to do whatever I can to be hid. Not that I'm going to be able to kill him from right there. I got to go make those fine tunings on killing one.
Got it.
Mac, you got a question?
Yeah. So I always think it's really interesting hearing from folks that like hang around turkeys or stick with turkeys all day and listening to what that flock's doing, whether they're together and it's all, males, or all the hens are together, if they're all big grouped up in the fall. But just speaking specifically in the springtime, what are you hearing? Like, can you tell a difference between like the intensity of the gobble and what those gobbles might mean, or if a hen is cutting on a limb, how that's going to affect her movement on the ground? Or is there any tips or things that you've noticed over all those years about just the cadences and the vocalization of those hens in the gobbling too?
I think that you can, but there's so many particular parts to. That's a loaded question with so many channels that you can just keep breaking down, and that's a lifetime of listening, observing, winning and losing. But there is intensity in the gobble. One of my things I think I have prided myself is, it's hard to say how you say, well, a turkey gobble is a turkey gobble. We all hear that, and people say, well, how do you know that that's a good one? Well, the way I think about it, well, I'm listening for that dude that sounds like he's been smoking Pall Malls or whatever it is for 40 years, and he's got that gravel in that tin can, and that just I've been able to cipher that one. That's one thing, because if I'm hearing turkeys in the woods, and I say, and y'all will understand exactly, the turkey that'll gobble and everything else shuts up. He may not be the first one.
No.
I've noticed that. That's one of those key things, because when I was younger, as soon as I heard a turkey gobble, one of my nicknames was Gnat, because if people was with me, they said, he was standing right here by me, and he heard a turkey gobble, and the next thing, he looked like a gnat going over the next ridge. But if I heard a turkey gobble, buddy, but I learned lessons, because, again, busting turkeys, messing things up, going. I just went to the first turkey because I was wanting to kill one. Then I wanted to kill a few. Then I wanted to kill them all. And then, now I just want to kill one good one every now and then. But they are definitely the turkey to go after in the woods. So you can cipher that. You don't always know everything, but again, if you, and I want to ask him in a minute when we take a pause, has he picked up? That's the biggest thing. Me talking to you or anybody else, I would ask him, has him and his brother picked up on what I'm saying? Is it passing down? Because my goal would be to help you and any listener be a better turkey hunter. But you mentioned a lot of different parts and pieces in your question. But yes, there's mornings that I think are just those bluebird. Man, we sometimes have the most beautiful day in the world, and the turkeys don't do nothing, and that don't, that'll break your heart.
I've never figured that out.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we,
and I've never heard anybody say they figured that out.
No, if you do, we'll write a book and go cash the check. Because
all the reasons I've heard of hadn't held up, but that's a mysterious thing. It's terrible sometimes.
When I started out and was doing all that, I was keeping a journal of barometric pressure, temperature, wind. Did it change at day? What was? I was keeping it with all kind of data and everything, and unfortunately that was lost. But there are mornings that the hens are doing their thing. I mean, and it's like, and I don't know how else to say it. I kind of laugh at myself and think, but it's like some mornings them hens don't get vocal at all. Sometimes they just do the little, just do their little simple. They they do their. But sometimes they wake up in the morning. They say, hey girl, I'm here. Let's get it going on.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, they just got it going on.
The Jubilee.
Yeah, those days.
Yeah. What is the
those days though? That intensity. So my meter goes off right there. If I start here, then I'm starting to turn my intensity up too. I'm a little more aggressive, and I know that game on. I've got to be on point with my call, and I've got to do my thing because I'm matching with sure enough that day.
Matching the mood.
Wow. Well, let's look at Isaac. Isaac, you're being real quiet over there. You're not saying much.
He hasn't given me much time to say much.
Look, do you ever get to talk over there?
I'd love to know if y'all kind of have a slightly different hunting style.
I bet on that right now.
I know you're a young guy, but I guarantee you've been hunting probably since you were 4 or 5 or 6. So you've got 12, 13
what would
years
be your
experience
bet?
here.
Oh, I bet he's different.
So the thing is as far as being a good gamekeeper, y'all aren't going to like what I'm about to say. I'm still on stage number 3. I ain't going to lie to you. I want to kill him.
Yeah.
Like if I hear him gobble, I mean, that just gets us all going. But man, I am fired up. We leave for Florida tomorrow. Lord help me.
I ain't gonna be able to sleep tonight.
I can hardly contain it. We're not even hunting tomorrow. Yeah. We're just leaving. It's that serious. But yeah, there's things you figure out. Obviously, this is one big one I figured out. But you start calling, and he thinks you're calling too much, and a striker hits you in the back of the head, and you're like, "What is going on?"
I wish I'd have thought about that.
You seen this one?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, if he hit me with that striker, like I might not come back, and then you're like, "Oh man, that might have been a stick or something." You start calling again, and
I knew I was going to learn something
another
productive
striker hits you in the back of the head. You're like, "Oh, dude, I need to stop
I
calling."
might not need to help anymore. That's hilarious.
But yeah, there's a lot of things that he's taught me. Of course, I mean, he's the reason why I love turkey hunting, the reason why I got started. So, but I do think we have different styles. I think there's some things which that could do with him being a more older, more experienced turkey hunter.
I resemble that remark too.
And me just starting out. Like sometimes when he'd probably sit on a turkey, maybe I'd try to get around him, and sometimes I'd kill him, and sometimes he would, Sometimes, not every method's going to work, and everybody has their own style. But I think things like that. But I mean, a lot of things trickle down too. Like he said, even if you're not hearing hens in the morning, you can judge how loud to call based on activity of birds, crows, how many Tweety birds you're hearing. I mean, if Tweety birds are more active and the woods are just going, I mean, you got to think once you do hear a turkey, they're going to be pretty fired up too. So I think just matching the woods around you, like you said, I think that's one huge thing that I've gotten from him.
Yeah, I think and that's good for me to hear him reflect back to me thoughts of that, because I can think about it, hey son, hear this, that squirrel and the Tweety birds, or it's just dead this morning. There's nothing. So I think those are points and things that we don't understand that we're teaching, that we've got to teach. And that's good to hear that it is caught in his fiber, and that I am teaching them the little things.
One of the biggest for me that he taught me, I think, people probably heard this a million times, but when you're standing there listening for a bird, maybe it's first thing in the morning or just listening in general, mid-morning, whenever. When you're standing there listening, I like to stand and lean against a tree, just kind of get my silhouette tight with that tree, just keep my head level so I can have a good gauge of direction and just listen. But my big thing before you hit a crow call, a hawk call, or even just cut, try to make one gobble, is know when he gobbles, where are you going to go sit down? Because if he gobbles at 100 yards and you got to set up, and then you sit in the wrong spot, well, you can't reposition then.
So you better it better be the tree you're leaning on.
It better be the tree. So
that plagues me.
Thing.
That plagues me.
You got to find that tree before you figure out where he's at.
Mm-hmm. So Isaac, do you grew up probably sitting next to him? You probably killed a lot of turkeys sitting right next to him. But can you recall the first time you went by yourself and killed a turkey? And then I'd like to see how that made Dad over there feel.
Absolutely, I can remember. I was on top of a ridge, and it was one of those mornings where like he said, the crows started going and the gobbles didn't start going. So you start to question, is it my fault or did I spook them coming in? The million, how it is, the million thoughts running through your mind. What did I do wrong? And then finally I heard that first gobble, and, I got to the tree, like we said, where I thought I could kill him. And I started calling, and he hung up, so I repositioned again, and he just kept gobbling, and I remember there was a huge briar patch, but I had to go through it while he was still, and get it while the getting's good, and he was going to get it, So I decided I'm just going to go through the briar patch, do anything for this turkey, I'll find a different way to get out, but to go get him, it doesn't matter, And anyways, I actually sat up. I was on a hill, and I had 1 foot on a log, and 1 foot was just hanging down, just leaned against the hill. Not where you want to be, of course.
Had on his bottom land, I'm sure.
I did,
of course,
head to toe, of course. But long story short, just a couple sweet yelps, and he just came in on a string. It was perfect morning. It was just divine intervention. Things like that are meant to happen. And I'll never forget that. I mean, he was the first person I called. Like 5 minutes after, I'm still shaking. My foot's on his head, and I'm like, man, it was just perfect. That's something I won't forget. I mean, obviously, I remember every hunt with him. But I think making that first phone call after that first turkey by myself was just as special.
That's a big deal.
Killing
It's a big deal, no doubt about it.
You're the most important guy in the world at that one moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the coolest.
Take a few laps around town, make sure they see the fan flapping in the back of my truck.
I still remember that, that's a memory that'll always be burned in all of us, I believe.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So you're somewhere in your phone. What were you doing?
I was hunting and praying for him.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, that worked out.
Your kids grow up, they're going to grow up and they're going to get them driver's license. They're going to drive out that driveway one day without you. And you remember holding their hand when they just toddling.
Yeah.
And taking care of them, putting your arms around them, being that protector and doing everything. But there's something about it when they get to that point and you realize, they're becoming their own. You're proud for them. Mm-hmm. You love them with all your heart. You lay down your life for them. That's all to be said. Mm-hmm. But as a turkey hunter, not a wannabe, not a fake-a-bee, not a think-a-bee, what's in the fiber of your bee, and you've raised your kid, and he's hit that point, Dad, I want to do it by myself. Mm-hmm. Man, it breaks your heart, but you want to not let them see. You don't want them to see that pain. And it's like, oh, God, son, I want you. I love it when we're together. And we still get to hunt together. And Jacob is in that point now, my other son. My 17-year-old son, he's to the point now, and I give him kudos because we're all different. He's different. Jacob's different. Jacob is bound and determined. He's going to kill his first, on his own, deep in them bad woods where I did. He's bound and determined. I like it. And he has taken some licking. He's been close and everything,
that goal is not quite as easy as it used to be.
Not at all.
But and nothing. I mean, his first was on, land he had permission to be on. It wasn't just, but it's it was an Alabama hammer, and, it was right there in the middle. But, it wasn't in the deep public, hard hunted, I always tell everybody our turkeys are hatched for PhDs, hard hats, and flat jackets, man. They know it all. To get that phone call, Dad, I did it. I mean,
that's cool stuff.
That's good stuff.
Actually, we've never asked you that question. I'd love to hear your story, though.
Yeah,
the first one ever
by yourself. Yeah.
Appropriately, I was hunting on the Hawley's place, which is my Uncle Bud Nixon, Peggy's dad's place, and Daddy had that old Bronco, and so they were going back to what they call the bend, the very back of the property. The river there made this big, huge loop and came all the way back around hundreds of acres and almost connected again. So it was like the bend. It was a long peninsula, beautiful, beautiful. I don't think it ever had an axe on it. They went there and there was a pasture and I knew my way around. So they dropped me off on the way in. I think I was 12 or 13. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. And had a turkey gobbling. He gobbled all morning long. Saw him a bunch of times. I almost got a shot, but I never had spooked him. I never moved or anything. And so anyway, he had hushed, and I was going to call one more time. I had a watch. I was supposed to meet him at 10. I was like, this will be it. He hadn't said anything in a while. And so I called again to leave, and nothing happened. I was just fixing to get up, and I heard a stick crunch, and he had made a circle all the way around me. It was coming from behind. And so, thank goodness, he just came walking right by me. And when we were behind a tree, I still remember I had the old Remington 1100 2 3/4 inch 12 gauge he bought me. And so, it was pretty cool listening to him. I wrote this down to say it, but he had a saying that always stuck with me kind of philosophically. And he said he was so proud. And, I was like, was he so proud because I killed the turkey? But it was a little bigger than that. He said, son, when a young man is old enough to go out and take food for the family all on his own is a big step from a boy becoming a man. And I'm real proud of you for that. And that sounds like an old Western movie. But that's the way he thought. And that's actually a pretty cool principle of we should have about this beyond just, oh my God, he stomped a big long beard. My boy got one with big spurs, and that's all good. But there's a deeper piece of it that's kind of cool, I think.
Deeper piece of it because it's like if you're if it means in your heart and you've got it and you're a turkey man.
Yeah.
He became a turkey man that day,
Obviously.
Yeah. But hey, let me ask a question. Do you remember your boys, Neil and Dan?
Yes.
Do you remember them when that happened to you? When you handed them out?
Yeah, I do. And it happened a little earlier with Neil. I do. Mm-hmm. And it was like I was not. I had two, so no matter which one I had to go with. It's the first time I took them and didn't have them both or somebody to go with one of them, and I turned Neil loose, actually, where we were sleeping there. He could just go from the camp we were in, and I knew it would be safe and all. He knew what he was doing. So, it kind of took the pressure off, too, that, it wasn't like I had one and then I was out of the guiding business because I always had two, even for years to come. And if I didn't go with one, I'd go with the other. So I wasn't as sad about it as I was just beaming proud, honestly.
I'm going to interject one more quick thing about the kids, especially Isaac and Jacob. You think you're teaching them. Right, and of course we want to protect them and everything. When they go off, that dad instinct of they got a weapon, and
that's the biggest worry right there. That's it.
Hey, you've got and in public ground and public ground crazy people out there. Them running up and being bossed down by somebody, messing with them or something. So those things are all, but they got to grow up. They got to face the world, and it ain't gonna be always me to be there to defend that. They got to learn it themselves. But I know we train. We think we are in common sense ways. And then, we know we are in the fabric of your being ways. I mean, they're picking up, they're putting their feet. If I turn around and tell you put your feet where mine are, and you pick them big number 12s up, I'm telling them stuff, it's teaching them stuff. But then, you start thinking of all those factors. I've been saying I was going to write a book because I've lived it in the way of bringing kids into the game. Mm-hmm. But I knew that I had done what, about a side note on no smooth here. He was one that would sit in there with Terry Sullivan and whoever the cameraman was at the time. He would, if it was Jacob's time I'd be up there holding Jacob with a gun. He would be back there with the cameraman pointing. He wanted to know what all them buttons did and all that stuff. So, you know, but knowing that I had done well, they've always been great shots, well trained. You know, I think I had to do that seriously, teach them those rules and everything. But when the camera guys and other camera guys started getting around it, because you think, hey, you're saying I've got two. I did too. I had Jacob and Isaac. They were 1 year. They're 11 months apart.
Yeah, that's I didn't realize that's almost like having twins.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a lot of time I'm like, I heard when you said I got somebody. Okay, I'm got one, and I need somebody else to take the up.
Mm-hmm.
So but it's guys that I'm really close and trust and everything.
Yes.
But you know what? That make you proud as a daddy and as a conservationist, a hunter, everything, is when people around you compliment your young sons on how well they manner themselves, conduct themselves, take care of the weapon, don't do stupid stuff, they don't ever uncase that weapon, and it's they don't do stupid stuff. A cameraman, and then it became cameraman, made reference to me one day. They said, when your boys, listen to this audio. They said, when your boys pull the trigger and it goes down, listen to this audio on this. And I didn't know what they was saying. The first thing you can hear is that safety click back on. Hmm. And that makes me proud of, because, hey, as Toxie said a few minutes ago, we get excited. It's, it's just unbelievable. But to keep focus, even as a young man or an old man, we could all lose focus and get us in a dangerous position with not doing the right thing. And I've been very proud that those things that I drilled into them, the how you handle what you do, pointing that muzzle, all those things. And for those camera guys to pick up, not only are they good boys, do they respect, do they do right, is the first thing you hear is that safety clicking back on.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
It is good.
It's very, minimal stuff you don't think about, but it's good that you point it out, and it's good that they recognize that and do that. I think we all do it out of
my gosh,
it's just subconsciously we do it.
It reminds me, Dudley talking about burning. It's you made the comment. I looked at one of those clips, and so he's like, I know we look like we're over the top and we're anal and we're scared and chicken about everything. He said, but when you're lighting fires out there, that's the way you need to approach it.
It's good to be paranoid.
It is good to be paranoid, and it's also good to be over the top on gun safety. Mm-hmm. Always over the top. I can still remember the early shot shows, and we'd be at one of the booths of the gun companies, and we, back in the day when we first had stuff, we had great relationships with both Remington and Browning, and those salespeople for them and employees would be talking to customers. I'd be in their booth watching them, and they're demonstrating, talking, selling. They'd have a weapon, and of course, every gun in that shot show has no firing pin at all, so they're all neutered to start with. But they had a rule, and I think this was the Remington guys, and because Tony was with us, Tony Rossetti used to be with Remington, and he was telling me about it. But I watched it. That one the breech would be open. They're showing a gun, and somebody said, "Let me see that gun," and they hand it to the next guy, and the guy opens it and looks at it and like does that again. And I was like, he just saw that it wasn't loaded. He said, yeah, but if you hand a gun to anybody in this company and they don't immediately check it, it doesn't matter if they just watch you there. They don't even matter that it doesn't have a firing pin. Right. If you don't check it and they don't see it, you could get fired over that.
Yeah.
I was like, they're that anal about it. And I was thinking, to make my point, you should be that anal about something like that.
Yeah.
When it's safety.
Yeah, it's cool to overthink that.
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
So, Mike, let's change gears just a little bit. Get you a sip of water if you need to. But I want to ask you, and I, with all due respect, I'd like the abbreviated version of how you started WoodHaven Calls and where you got, so that we've got time to get into running some of these calls and hearing what they sound like. But how in the world did you get started down that road?
Somewhere about 87, 88, somewhere in there. broke the only call that I had, a little plastic slate call, and I actually didn't have money or to get another one or whatever, and I actually went about repairing that one, and that just, I don't know, I think that sparks a little etching there in my mind, saying, hey, you know what, I could fix that or whatever, and it snowballed from there. I mean, honestly, I started thinking, and then the old Southern work, tinkering. I was a tinker, and then had, my dad had a wood shop. I lived down with my grandparents and a lot, and started in a basement, and started figuring out, asking questions. I mean, I still got the little Nylotron board where I first started making mouth calls. I started getting some latex and cutting up balloons and rubber glove, anything, and then I started finding out how to get parts and pieces. And, a guy told me about cutting Coca-Cola cans and all that kind of stuff, and I mean, then I found out where you could buy some supplies and stuff, and, latexes, and then I had this little board, and I had a little jig, and I had marks and stuff on it. And I clamped one side of the latex, I'd stick to the latex and learned how to do that, and then would pull them to a certain spot and clamp them, and kind of like the jury, they had a little jig thing.
They made it. Yep.
I remember that when it came out, but it came out after I was doing what I was doing, and I didn't like I was so ingrained in what I did. I liked the old way I did it. I didn't like their thing worked, and everything, but I didn't particularly like it because it was odd to me. But then as I moved on, I just had a machinist that was in my church, and went out to his machine shop, and we started talking about what I was trying to do, and he actually helped me build some mouth call presses and
Oh wow.
and parts and things. I told him what I wanted, what I had to do, and the steps I would do, and he was smart enough to help me, get it to a point like that. And then WoodHaven just was. I don't know, I started piddling in it and just kept moving on up to, started trying other things. I remember the first pot call that I flew with, we did, I went through different phases of doing that, but the first thing I ever did, my dad had just a motor in the shop there, and had a metal plate that came out there and had holes in it, and I bolted a piece of wood to that, and then I bolted another centerpiece of wood to that, and had a rusty old Craftsman screwdriver and sharpened it on a wheel.
So it's a homemade lathe?
Yeah, it was just, I guess that's what it was. It was just an electric motor. Huh. And then I didn't understand, but I figured out how to get a regulator thing on it where you could slow it down, or because that thing was just running wide open. I'm lucky I'm still got both eyes.
Had all your fingers.
I got all my fingers, got all my both eyes.
Safety first, right? Safety third.
Yeah, but anyway, it was just a passion, and then I really wanted to create sound like the turkeys that I heard. Mm-hmm. That was that key. That was my tie-in, that fiber and fabric of what I was doing. I was anal, and I wanted to make that sound, and I just started working on different, things that I forgot to try to pass down to these guys so they can be creative enough to figure out how to be innovative enough to make a future.
Do you think WoodHaven is more well known for box calls, or slate calls, or mouth calls, or what seems to be the thing that people think of y'all?
I don't know. I thought it was more about the pot calls, but but then I think we've got a following period. There's the guys that like our box calls, got guys that like our pot calls, and then probably because of the popularity of mouth calls, and we've been lucky to hit some good.
Yeah, y'all picked some winners.
Yeah. We built some good calls, and some calls that's just been longevity. Is just, 2 or 3 things in my, like red wasp. Yeah. You don't go anywhere in America and start talking about turkey calls, and that's just a blessing. I'm just thankful. I'm blown away and thankful. It's just a blessing. Red wasp is one of them staples. It doesn't matter. There's guys that's used them and and Cherry Classic Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever got a little bit of a pat on the back, I mean, I think, like I said, the grandfathers was Bill Zarian, Ike Ashby, some of these guys that just, I just think those guys was the leaders at the time, and I hope that I became a leader, or a contributor along the way, because, I wanted to be myself. I didn't want to worry about, but that nobody was doing anything in cherry. It was the only thing I knew of was that special technique that I'd heard about that Bill Zarian for Cody did with that laminated outside, and I didn't know. I mean, I wasn't smart enough to go look at one. I mean, I couldn't afford it, but I just heard of him. I knew him, and then they made walnut cups. Ike Ashby and some of them guys was making walnut cups, and D.D. Adam, some of them guys. I mean, they made some. I had seen calls around. People showed me some calls, but I never seen. And I wanted to be different. I wanted to be me. And I started delving into the cherry, and then I figured out the hard way, because some of the first soundboards that I made, I just crewed and rooed and just sanded them down, and the grain was straight, and those things would more often than, because you do all that hard work, you want to get something out of it, but a lot of times them things, when I'd glue them in, they would cup, because of more, and I didn't.
Right.
Then I figured it out. I started doing a little more digging and thinking. Quarter sawn, it was again the way they sawed it.
Even though it's more expensive.
Yeah, but it didn't have the tendencies to warp with that grain. It got straight grain. Yep. So I put quarter sawn cherry inside that cherry cup, and I was working on everything, all the attributes inside that call, what was making it, what the spark plug gap pretty much is what all these adjustments and things that I was doing, and and then I got my formula right for my crystal. That was something that I learned. I mean, I was an engineering student in school. I mean, I can pat the head, rub the stomach. I mean, but you can formulate your crystal, and glass is so much silica, so much this. So there is ways so that was a different maker. But when I built that Cherry Classic Crystal, we sell more of them every year. They're still growing, but it's that good of a call, and it stood the test of time, and it's a dadgum good turkey call.
It is, and it looks good too. I like a lot of y'all's design work.
Yeah, no, it was always tight.
And one thing I've heard from my friends over the year, I've got a couple buddies that are just that's the only thing they. Mouth call wise is those WoodHavens, and they talk about how consistent they are. Like, you can go buy a red wasp, the next year you go buy a red wasp, and they're very repeatable.
Mm-hmm.
Isaac, what's your favorite call?
Like period or pot call, mouth call, or
one of each.
Yeah,
one of each. Cherry Classic Crystal, no doubt. Cherry Real Hen, again going with a cherry box. Mouth
real quick,
call.
that cherry box, is it all cherry, or is there different wood on the lid versus the box?
There's one right there. It's all cherry.
What's the difference? Is there two different kind of wood?
This is American cherry. This is Brazilian cherry called Jatoba.
Right. So they're both cherries, but different type of cherry. Okay.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Yes.
Mouth call, probably the jackhammer.
The jackhammer.
It's like it's got a hammer cut on one side, and it's got a combo cut.
Right.
Cut coming on the other.
So, how many mouth calls will you go through to find one you really like?
I think I found the one. The big thing for me is people claim they can get a mouth call out and just run it right out the package, but for me, there's no way.
Nope.
Like, that call will not be. I will not take that call in the woods until it is perfect, and you're not going to get a call off the shelf and do that. Not for me. There's no way.
Got to leave it on the dashboard a little while.
Well, how long does it take typically?
So, Sean Wright, big guy helping me, with all the mouth call stuff. He's really dang good, and he said the rule of thumb is to run it, get it sopping wet, and just sit it on the counter. I put the 2 toothpicks in, under the top reed, put it in the refrigerator. I do all that, and I was getting it out the package and doing that, of course, out of habit. He said, no, I'll just let it sit. I don't know why, but that's what he said, so that's what I do, I
think the saliva, the acid in your saliva breaks them down some.
Yeah,
100%. So it's interesting that you get that same people, and some of the best callers ever. In fact, Dave Owen just won the Grand National. And I said something to him about that in contest calls. And how many do you go through? He said, a lot. In fact, Josh Grossenbacher said, I don't know, 100. Because he's making them, you know, before he's happy with one or when he'd break it. But Dave said something that struck me that shows you how important it is to, if you get good as y'all are and you're really picky about it. But he said, I won't ever even yep at one in a contest till I've hunted with it for a full spring.
I heard that.
So that just tells you the importance of breaking one in to someone like him who could call on a fig leaf and make it sound decent, you know. And listening to you too, I mean, you know, and I know I'm not here to just try to help him sell mouth calls, but honestly, I don't think anybody can get their best sound right out of the box, because for them to build a really durable and quality product, it takes some breaking in to get it really, really good. So I said something to one of them about, I set them on the dash of my truck, and they're like, no, the UV will break them down too much. But I never get one I like till it's been, like, if I would call on it and it's, you know, that may be a really good one. And I put it up for a year and let that just whatever it does to break it down for a year. I've never had one right out of the box and go, that's it.
Me neither.
So my number one call. Well, so we went to Mexico last year.
Right.
And Sean built me a few. And he handed me one, you know, when we were in Mexico hunting. And I put it in a mouth call case and set it in my suitcase. It's actually my mom's suitcase because, of course, she's a mom. She has a lot bigger suitcase than me, and I needed a bigger suitcase for the week. And I set it in one of those zipper pockets and just completely forgot about it. And we got back from the NWTF convention, and I saw her suitcase sitting there. And the mouth call, of course, she didn't touch that thing. It was still sitting there. And I got it out, and that is my
How long did it sat in there?
Call. A year.
See these people? When the clock strikes 5, it's not the end. It's just the beginning. They have to do these things. They have to do those things. Enter the all-new LS Tractor MT2 and MT2E, a relentless force of innovation. Redesigned with a new hood and cab built for comfort and visibility, with enhanced lifting capacity to get the job done. Making these people the ones everyone else calls those people. Visit your local LS Tractor dealer today.
Well, Mike, would you confer? You and I are on the same haul. Dudley's right down for us. There's no way Dudley has never pulled one out of a package and it sound good, right? Would you agree? Or just...
I could agree.
I agree with that.
But I'll say this: the guy running them is way pickier than the people listening to them.
Yeah. I can,
because Bradley will think this I can't do it. This is new. I got to break it in. It doesn't. And then, but I've heard people do that, and I was like, good gosh, it sound good with anything they call on to me, you know.
I mean, I can take that the other way. I mean, I can take, but as bendy as I've built over the years, and we do have a system. That's why there's criteria that I do. That's why WoodHaven is a WoodHaven, you know. And I'm blessed again to keep that integrity. It's what you do when nobody else is watching, you know. But I can take one and run it and know if it's going but you're still
going to break it in to get it to its best.
It gets better. Right. You know, and I've said a lot of folks you'll hear them say, "Yeah, I put that in my mouth and it didn't sound like," and I throwed it out the window. So that was a big mistake. You just threw $15 out the window because it should at least left it in the refrigerator or something to give it some time.
If you have to put it in some mouthwash or something and put it up for a year, try it again, because it may change the texture and everything too.
I'm going to tell you something. I know you're wanting to ask me a question, but that he brought up a something that y'all need to really listen. As me as a call builder, you've got to realize how many years of experience that I have formed into what I'm doing. And I was always challenging myself to try to find that mouth call that I could actually sound like two hens without taking a red wasp out of my mouth and putting a toxic orange in. So I would say, "Gawk, gawk, gawk," and then take this out and put that and go, "Gawk, gawk, gawk." This, you know, I challenged myself for years to try to figure out how to do that. That jackhammer is probably one of the most undertold. It's under the story on it is just untold. I figured that call out about 2 years ago, I think it was now. I was working on a new series of calls, and it was in the blue latex was what we were doing. I'm going to tell y'all something. I learned that Doug Crabtree that worked for us, has been on my team for a long time. He showed me what we call the hammer cut. I mean, he had this call he was working with. And I said, hey, I like that. Can I do some stuff with it? He said, sure, go ahead. So I said, I'm gonna call that the hammer. I like that cut, and it was a hammer. All right, the way we build calls and call, but you got V cuts, ghost cuts, cutter calls, which Billy Argus uses a lot of cutters. So I know how to build, and I've done a lot of gazillions of calls, stretches, back stretches, what kind of latex, thickness of latex. We pre-stretch and pre-pop our latex. That's something nobody knows and nobody does. We pre-stretch and pre-pop our latex, and that's a lot of work to do every one of them. Them girls' fingers get but. And then we mic it and we take care of it. But I'm just telling you back to that jackhammer. What I did is I figured out the stretch and everything, but I figured out how to put the cuts in so that I put a hammer and a cutter in one call. And when I did that, if you run your air straight down the middle, it's a turkey. It's a turkey call. To me, it's not fine-tuned. It's a little, but it's just a turkey, okay? If you throw your air to the hammer side, it's turkey A. And if you throw your air to the cutter side, it's turkey B. I finally have a call that will actually sound two totally different hens with one mouth call in my mouth, not changing it. I'm telling you, it's the undertow. We get so busy with life and things that's going on. Success can be its own set of problems. When you get successful, you're getting pulled and got to make decisions, and you got budgets, and you got this and that and others, and that call has been undermarketed. The story's not been told.
Well, how do you throw your air one side or the other? Can you explain how
Move
you do
your tongue, dude.
Just your tongue and the
Practice.
Putting that to all that. You can't do nothing. A turkey hunter can't talk without his hands. You cut his hands off, he'd quit calling.
Yeah.
I will tell you, doing this does not make you yelp better.
No, it does not.
Neither
This
does
right here,
this.
yeah. All this right here does
Well,
not.
it's kind of like the guitar player in the middle of a solo.
Yeah.
They can't help it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think turkey caller could call if he cut his hands off. We just.
One thing I realized, because we obviously have lots and lots of friends, and we love this together with
What you pay 'em?
call makers, but then you can't. What I was trying to explain to people is that, it may not matter anyway. There's so many more things more important than how beautiful the yep is. Nevertheless, we all love to sound good. It's an ego thing. It's a wanting to sound just like a hen thing. But there's no way to, and I've been around the call maker, you can't make a mouth call that sounds its very, very best it's ever going to sound right out of the box, because it won't last for people.
That's right.
So what you got to do is find one you're happy with, go through several, not just buy one, and then break it in. And then you'll also get one that'll get to its best sound after breaking in. It'll last you a lot longer. Does that make sense? I was just trying. People hadn't really listened to that a lot, and they think that's just like, I like it or I don't like it. When I tried it and I throw it away. And honestly, make it a game every spring to keep some of the ones and try them again. Put them up, put them in mouthwash, make sure they're safe or whatever. But then just a little aging. I don't know if it's the acid in your spit or the it breaks down from the. I remember Preston used to say, soak them in mouthwash for a couple of days first before you ever try to call on them. And I try to stretch them a little bit myself, but you're careful you won't tear them. There's nothing like just using them for a long time and letting a year or so pass to get to your best call.
I know your answer to what you're talking about, spit, and I finally figured it out with a dentist. It's pH. Mm-hmm. It's pH. You realize the pH in your mouth. If you actually took a pH, you can check the pH in our bodies. If we're alkaline or acidic, we can. If it's no different than soil or swimming pool water, our bodies can take on an acidic, and you can go through different levels of acidity, and it's pH. It's what's either.
That's a different topic, but you really want to be between 6 and 7 on your body pH, and your blood and body might be different than saliva, but typically it is pretty acid.
Yep.
Because it's meant to help break down food, just like the acid in your stomach is not that strong.
That's why.
But it's more acidic than your body even is.
I always wash my mouth calls out. I actually rinse them out. If I'm in a creek,
right?
If remotely or whatever, but I try to wash those enzymes and stuff out, and then I do still toothpick mine.
Yeah, that helps last long. But I mean, it's like you want to break them down, and then you want to get them there, and then you want to freeze it right there,
Yeah,
not let it,
don't
don't
go
break it
anywhere.
down and hold it right
Then
there
you
for
don't
years.
work on it.
Well, gosh, I'm gonna have to look on the floorboard of my truck.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get
That's
some
right.
calls.
You
from
may have
around
a
the
Jim
world.
Dandy.
Most of
I've been,
them, I mean, you'll
I've been
find them
doing
that
this
way.
wrong my whole life.
So I want to ask about that box over there. And if you're a guy and you go,
Bobby
into-
heard you go up on it, and Bobby's hoping you'll forget it when you leave.
Well, so let me ask you. So if you're a guy and you go into a store and there's all kind of turkey calls, and you walk up to this WoodHaven and you pick it up, and you yelp on it, it's been pre-tuned. Somebody at your shop, in the tuning process, is that were they messing around with that screw, the tension on that screw?
Yes, raising it up and down.
And can a guy do that himself to change the pitch on a call? Do you recommend that?
I don't recommend the average guy, doing it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's what makes me frustrated is it's yours. It worked when you took it out of the package. Don't give me the Jeff Foxworthy. Oh, you tired? You got a flat tire? No, I was riding down the road, and the other three just swole right up on me. Don't tell me. If you're going to start messing with it, don't offend me, hurt and accuse us or me of bad workmanship. If you've been doing, I can get it back there.
Yeah, I'm not accusing you of anything.
No.
I'm just asking,
No.
can a guy?
No, I'm saying I don't want a guy calling me and saying, "Hey, my call don't work no more."
His answer, Bobby, is he'd rather not.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Okay.
I'd rather if you.
I've done it. I've gotten and given and bought a lot of boxes, a ridiculous number. I will tell you that I have maybe changed it some a little, but for the most part, I would have been better off to leave it like it was.
Trust the creator of the
Correct. And I'm not sure everybody tunes them like that or not. I don't know. But you can change that. But you're probably better off not to.
Yeah.
Especially from them, because they've already spent the time doing it for you.
Okay. Well, I got that answer. I learned something.
Be careful is
run
his
the risk.
answer.
Yeah. Lanny, you got a question?
I thought he was going to run the box call.
Well, we could. All right.
Let him do it.
So, could you? Let's hear. What is that called? Called a
This
cherry?
is a cherry reel hen. Is our number one box call.
I see him every store I ever go in.
Yeah. So Taxi has this little routine. Let's pretend he's caller number 3, and let him
Stage him up.
Oh, you thought, okay, man, you put me on the spot.
He does that.
Caller number 3. When you're ready, give us the assembly yelp of an adult hen.
I'll tell you what. In my defense,
Thank
I
you,
can't
caller
hear-
number 3.
I can't hear nothing. I can't hear my call.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds good.
It sounds really
Yeah,
good.
it sounds really good.
Wow. Thank you, caller number 3.
wait a
To his
minute. Go,
credit
John.
on that, it did sound better when he took the headphones off and he could really hear what he was doing. That shows you how good he is at what he's doing.
Both sides.
Well, that's
sounded
what I
good.
wanted to try to do.
Identical.
Run one side. I can feel.
I wasn't watching you, and I could not tell at all that he changed sides. It was so pretty much the same.
You'd be surprised what you can feel in a friction call too. In your
Well, you can.
in your fingers and hand. You'd be surprised, not just your ears. But one cool thing that we do with our box calls is we make two-sided, and we've got other designs that we're working on. Things that just I'm again anal and takes time to get there. But we done this little box call clip that we put in our call, and it's a very cool helper. It's a cool device, but it's actually a clip that just clips on. If I was left-handed and wanted to run this, I could put it on this side, but it makes it an effective one-sider.
It does. Yep.
All right, and what it's doing is it gives me all that.
Yeah, it's a hard stop. Yep.
It's got a spring.
Pushes it back.
So
It's springing it back. It's giving me something.
we were talking about this exact subject with Marlon Watkins a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about how you don't want a hard stop at the end of the call. You want it to be slightly springy.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of callers will wrap their thumb around,
Right.
but you don't want your thumb touching the edge of the box. So when the lip hits it, it has a little give, just like that
Right.
spring you've got on there. That is very cool.
You can tune it by sliding it up or down to make it higher pitched based on what we call the angel wings of where this call is.
Right, sweet spot. Yep.
Yeah, the angel wings tell me a lot about what's going on in the call. But the call.
Yeah, the chalk. All they got people got to do if they've run it for a while is look at the chalk lines. It'll show it to you perfect.
It'll tell you exactly how we tuned it and how how the fine tune, the sanding and everything else. But the thing is, when I'm yelping if I'm trying to teach somebody to yelp, me personally, I can yelp and I've got to stop there. But in our call design, I can't redesign the clip and make every clip adjust. I just know that I need to pull that clip back to give me a little bit more travel in my run on my stroke. So I'm going to get that thing, and I'm going to get it where it's got a little more travel, still got a stopping point.
Turns over.
The biggest thing is that I tip, if we're going to be on the box call for another minute or two, the biggest thing I give people tip for is take the call and it'll do its thing. Yeah. It's just. But if people would watch, I'm not running. I keep my elbows pulled in, not like I'm in a vice grip, but I'm looking for stability. And then I'm going to run this call with my wrist. This call's needing chalk badly. It's just sliding on me, and it wants to stay high pitched because I ain't got any chalk with me to chalk it. But one thing I really, teach people, I'm doing it with my wrist. I'm giving me pressure points here, so balance points, because the more you're doing this, you're rocking the boat. And then the
older I get, the more that matters too.
Yeah. Something though on a box call, you can get so realistic on a box call. Clucking. I'm one of them guys. I didn't bring the one call that I wish I had, and it's the deadliest call I build. Deadliest call I make is a purr pot. That clucking purr pot. I'm gonna tell you, dead. And I wish we'd have thought and put one in here because that's the one I love to show people about it. But I'm using a box call. So many people get mechanical. They're hitting the side of the box to try to cluck. One way. I can make the same tone over and over and over, like a clock. That's not a turkey. That's not real. That's not realism. How you add realism to it, the bottom of this is convex, concave, I don't know, I'm not scientific enough to know, but it's got shape to it. So I call it dig dug. Dig dug. I'm giving the That's realism. That makes you a better turkey hunter. It kills you more turkeys. It puts them in the coffin and not,
That sounds
in the
really
coffin,
good.
baby.
Yeah. What about this glass call? Can Isaac run one over there? Right.
He can. He can run one well. I bet he wishes he'd brought one of his cherry crystals.
I wish I would have brought my baby. The one I got in my vest, that's the one I wish I would have brought.
No, you want to keep that in a safe place.
Well, yeah. Y'all going to tell me to leave it here. That's the issue.
Around this
Pressure's on.
So I actually brought this one to kind of show y'all, and I don't know if I don't want to be in the fight. I mean, I knew I was coming to see Bobby Cole. I hoped Toxie would be here, and I didn't know who else was going to be here, and glad that everybody got to be here. So I may just throw this thing out but this was one of our 25th anniversary calls that I did. I made calls with metal insides years ago and loved them. but I didn't need them. I had powerhouse line of calls. I mean, I had the Cherry Classic Crystal, the Legend slates. I had Next Level slates. I had the Fusion. I had powerhouse, a plethora of calls. I didn't need it, so I thought I'll hold on to that for a special occasion. This 25th anniversary that we're celebrating in 2025, I put the metal inside in this call, put the, date on the back, made basically 250 of them. Just honor, and we got 25th anniversary edition in there. I never had signed calls on the inside, so I broke a signed these on the inside, and so it's a metal call, a metal inside with a crystal on top, and signed it. I'll learn it for a second. I'll give it to Isaac and let him read.
Screen too.
Yeah.
But
Lanny, if you
it has turned into a pony for sure.
whenever we have an arm wrestling contest, you always dominate. So if he throws on the table,
I'm gonna win.
this will be
I
ugly.
played spoons. I can get that. Yee, yee, yee. That is nasty.
Yeah, that's as pretty a yelping as we've heard in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how he's holding that.
Beautiful.
He's holding it vertical.
Yeah, I
But
wanted-
you see, he's moving too.
I wanted to
He's
show
moving
y'all
both his
that 'cause I've
hands.
taught
But
him
like
that.
we talked to, he made credit to the master of all this, Bill Ziering, before anybody. And if you watched him run one, I know you've done it a million times. He's the first one. Everything is part of the musical instrument, not just, you sit there and hold it and you run your striker. Every little thing, I watched y'all both. There are nuances you learn from both hands involved. in
Right,
it.
and then we did some of that on the box. I want to make sure that I was passing these along on these pot calls and everything, because
Beautiful.
I'm making, I pride myself in making tools, not toys. I want to work on turkeys. I don't want to play with them. We not,
That's a good
I make
one.
tools, not toys. But to Toxie's credit on picking up what we're doing, and I've made a teaching moment to as many people as I can to help them be better turkey hunters. I want them to use the calls properly and get everything you can out of it. But the key here, again, is the wrist. If I'm going to get stable here, I can. But I challenge you, Toxie, I don't want to hold hands with you like a man bro thing. Hold the back of my hand where I can't move it. Y'all watching this. Hold the back of the hand. So, okay, now watch this. All right, so I just told you something and you didn't know it.
That's right.
I'm going to start. I'm going to use both wrists.
That's right.
I'm finishing that call
With your left hand.
with my
That's
left
right.
hand. I'm coming
That's
on
what,
through.
and that's what Bill. I mean, he's same as you. That's it. Beautiful.
I mean, that's the.
Mac, what would you score that?
10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Ringer. That's a ringer. That's a
doggone
ringer. That's a ringer.
really good.
I do have a question, Bob.
Oh, well, Lanny,
Well, I mean,
please.
I wanted to hear the calls first.
Please,
obviously,
go ahead.
But I've been admiring like this Super Bowl turkey ring on your hand.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us about this?
It's just a turkey ring. I like to wear some. I've won some, and I like to wear one every now and then. I just this is an actual 2017 Friction Championship from. I think that was Alabama. So
Boom.
yeah, we did. I've been fortunate enough to win a few contests and everything. And a cool factor on the kids. I've got 4 kids. Benjamin, he's in the musical. He's not my hunter, and my daughter has killed deer and turkey. She's fixing to graduate, like I said, from Alabama with a master's degree in business. And Isaac was the 3rd child, another son, and then I had the 4th son, Jacob. And all 4, I was able to coach my kids, and I saw all 4 of them win the Grand Nationals.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's 4 siblings, all won it.
That's incredible.
That's
That is
cool.
an incredible thing.
That is. We need to hit the horns for that. John, wake
Well,
up.
John, what are you doing over there?
Slack it.
goodness.
Richie,
He's thinking about crappie.
Richie, you're gonna have to get some better help around here.
The one thing that I do have 5 with me, and I don't know, I'm gonna tell this story.
I love that striker now.
This striker right here is a special one. So I am sure enough gonna leave these on the table, and I'm leaving. If the fur quits flying, this is something I do. I use 220. What I prefer is wet dry. This is just 220 out of my shop. Right. But I'll take that and I'm turning that striker and I'm trying to keep that thing conditioned. And I like 220 grit versus the stone that I'm going to use on my glass or slate or whatever. You can do 180, 220.
But you're rubbing the striker from the outside to the tip each time.
I'm just trying to clean it off.
Right. Okay.
I'm just taking that. I'm taking basically the downside.
Right. I got you.
All right, guys, we got to check some things off here. Dudley, why don't we take this time and do your
Do the rapid fire.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard of rapid fire, Mr. Mike, but I'm going to ask you about 10 questions pretty quickly. A lot of it's going to be yes, no. Just try to give me a quick answer.
All right.
We're all trying
First
to
thing
get,
pops in your head.
trying to get to know you better.
You need to get Isaac in on this too.
Sure.
Get both of them.
Yeah.
Make him take a death.
Y'all want to
and
take
make him
turns?
make him not hear the questions and make him do them after me. No.
Yeah,
Y'all want to
just
take
unpreferred.
turns?
Yeah,
We
take
could,
turns.
we could send him out of the room.
All right, here.
Well, that's a new novel idea.
Yes,
Why don't we
go-
do
just
that?
Get out of here,
Yeah.
son.
Yeah.
And don't
But it's
don't
not
listen.
Like it's
Don't
questions,
listen.
Just like
Go take a
preferences.
bathroom
Hey,
break.
Go put him here.
All right. Are you ready? Public or private?
Public.
Public that touches private or deep into the public?
Deep.
East Bama versus West Bama?
East.
Upper Bama versus Lower Bama?
Upper.
What style call do you use the most? Diaphragm, box, or pot?
All the above. No. Pot.
All right. Pick one. First half of the season or second half?
Second half.
White barbecue sauce or regular sauce?
Regular.
Red dot or old school?
Red dot.
Do you still use a 12 or have you converted to a lighter gauge?
20's plenty.
Pistol grip or regular grip?
Take a regular.
Does a moon phase affect turkey behavior in the spring? Yes
Have
or
no idea.
And then you get a full day to hunt. Would you rather hunt a really windy day or an on and off rain day?
Damn, Dudley.
I'm staying at the house both days.
I was thinking this.
No,
And then
I got to work on those days. You know, the days I'm gonna get the best out of I can. If I do wind or rain, I'd probably take the wind and stay low.
There you go. All right. And last but not least, do you run a call or do you play a call?
It's an instrument. You play an instrument.
I like it. All right. That's it.
That's good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was really good.
I hope I
Let's
can
see.
do this in the same order.
I think.
That's okay. We'll
Because I'm
mind.
all
randomly
over
written
the
out
place.
there.
All right.
Let me get in here.
Man, the pressure's on. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, you got it.
That's probably the best performance we've ever had. I hope
they're right or wrong,
no
ain't
pressure though.
was
No
quick.
pressure.
I mean, you following the best that Toxie's ever. You know.
All right.
He's a legend in his
what's
own
up?
mind, and you know.
Just kind of a quick answer. A lot of yes or no, a lot of pick one kind of thing. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Public or private?
Public.
Public that touches private or deep into the public?
Touches.
East Bama versus West Bama?
East.
Upper Bama versus lower?
Upper.
What style call do you use the most? Diaphragm, box, or pot?
Whichever one he likes.
There you go.
Yay.
Pick one. First half of the season or second half?
Second.
Does a moon phase affect turkey behavior in the spring? Yes or no?
Yes.
White barbecue sauce or regular?
Regular? What kind of question is that? Regular.
Alabama, white
Regular.
barbecue? All right.
Regular.
Red dot or old school?
Red dot.
Do you still use a 12 or have you converted to lighter?
20.
Pistol grip or regular grip?
Pistol.
You get a full day to hunt. Would you rather hunt a really windy day or a day with off and on rain?
Windy.
And last but not least, do you run a call or do you play a call?
Run. That is not even a debate. You run a call.
Oh, it's fixing to be a debate.
Oh, no. You run a call.
No, you play an instrument.
an instrument.
So,
Oh, man.
so you know what? I think that Y'all should talk about it on the way home.
Yeah,
good.
for sure.
That's really good.
So I will say that, like, identical on a lot of stuff instantly, and then you could tell the differences were like that. I can think of myself, the younger generation kicks in a little,
I was thinking,
you know,
and
in the answer.
what we were, I agree with you so wholeheartedly right there because I was listening to his answer.
It was so close, and then, like, pistol grip was different in a couple like that.
But
But
I've got
very
a pistol,
cool.
I've got a pistol grip shotgun that I've actually used some and like it. But I'd stay the old school.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for it.
right.
I got a Stevens 301 20, and it's
I
got that
love
pistol
mine.
grip.
Yeah, they're great.
The pistol grip, I love it. I love it. Feels great.
Changes.
Well, that's fun. And let me ask you this. I want to make sure we touch on this. You guys are building some calls for the Austin Chamberlain Foundation for Mike Chamberlain.
Yes.
Yes.
Could you tell a little bit about those, and how can somebody go buy one of those? Support the foundation.
Come to like and respect Mike a whole bunch. First spent time with him down in Mexico. We wound up together on a hunt in Mexico, and just think a lot of them became better friends. And he asked me could I make him some calls to help the foundation. I said I'd be honored to, glad to, and so I used some wood combinations and things that I've never done before, and kind of created some value there. And then they were really good sounding calls. Purple Heart pot call with a maple inside, laser engraved with the foundation in it. I don't know if I have pictures or
We
or
can
anything.
probably share one.
And I did a box call that I know I'm going to come out with it sometime. It's a maple box with a thick Purple Heart lid. Very, very, very good call. It'll be one of those next in the line, so to speak. But I had never done an inlay on a box call lid, and I cut a medallion and put and inlaid it into the actual lid of this call. So that was something I did special. And then I hand painted the relief lines, the stripes on the call. I hand painted black accent. These are relief lines. Oddly enough, the box call will not vibrate and tune and work without those. And I can actually tune this box call by changing the depth and the position of these.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot to know. But I mean, so I actually made those special for him.
So I think you can Google Austin Chamberlain Foundation. You can probably
I
find
think that's the wording.
way to it.
I think
and I
that's
bet
actually-
there's a way to purchase.
Yeah,
these
and
calls
so not only is it number one above everything else, a way to honor him and a great friend he was and a great son and everything, but it is a very, very worthy cause to contribute to. And the mission of the foundation are his loves, but also things that the world needs today. So I encourage everybody to give that a look.
Yeah, the website is austonsway.org.
Yep.
That's
Awesome.
right.
I know Mike shared with me just a couple of days ago that somebody had went by the booth there and had scanned the QR code and I guess had shared the story. It was anonymous type thing, but had made a considerable donation to it, and that was
great.
he was just that just makes you feel good.
Oh, yes.
Like you said, it's just what this world needs.
Yes, it does.
And just to know that somebody out there anonymously or whatever, they just but they just went by, scanned the QR code, saw the story, and just said, "I'm going to contribute."
So Austin worked here too.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he
Doing
was
internship.
across the hall from all of us.
Yep.
I did not know
Yeah.
that. He may have told me.
There's a
Online
lot
poster for
of love.
I
in
think
this
I
place
did
for
remember that.
Austin.
He said because he was going home or something.
Yeah, he was a student here and,
He was
and worked
student.
here.
That's right. He did tell me that. I apologize.
That's right.
Mike did tell me that. Like I said, I just thinking a lot more of Mike being around.
Oh,
him
he's a great man.
Yes.
And
smart about his what he's
Yeah.
doing.
he's,
So these calls are probably going to go quick, but try to get one if you can. And then if you want to go to austonsway.org and you're just feeling charitable, make a donation.
yeah, absolutely.
That's right. What a good cause. All right, so let's. We're starting to wrap up. I'm gonna look at Mac. Let's do the. Let's ask him a trivia question. And who won this week?
So the winner this week is Red Hunter 1970. So that's the year Bobby graduated high school.
It sure was.
Bobby, are you?
No. I'm way.
Are you leaving
younger
ghost
than that.
reviews?
No, I have nothing to with Red Hunter 1970. You've won. What did he win?
Yeah, it's pretty fitting. So he won a Drake Time and Motion turkey vest.
What a great
nice.
gift! Yeah,
That's a
what
great gift.
A great prize.
Very timely, I would
It's
say.
a prize. It's not a gift.
That's
I may
right.
have said gift, but yeah. So guys, if you'll leave a review, you got a chance to win something.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Isaac?
I did not know that.
Yeah, Isaac. Do you ever watch our television show?
I listened to the podcast.
Isaac, do you ever watch our television show?
Wait a minute.
I
Isaac,
completely dodged that question.
Isaac, do you watch any television other than sporting events? It's like, well, probably not.
All right, so we got a trivia question. Both of you guys can answer this. I mean, y'all can talk amongst yourself to come up with it.
All right, so we do this thing where we name an animal, and they all have unique group names, like a murder of crows, a passel of possums, a flamboyant of flamingos.
A drove of turkeys.
Commodore of pelicans.
That's right.
Yes, and so this week, I mean, thinking about turkeys, thinking about the woods waking up, we're talking about owls. What is a group of owls called?
A nuisance. No.
That actually kind of sounds right.
It did kind of ring right.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to this one.
This series of questions is,
Oh, we
in
got-
my opinion, the most bizarre.
We got some guys in the back. I think they.
You can phone. You can
phone
phone
a friend.
Yeah, phone a friend.
Yeah, they were.
I can't.
They're part of Team Woodhaven.
Parliament.
Boom! Ring the bell.
Boom.
Killing it back there
Wow.
on the couch
Hey.
for Woodhaven.
You know, he's like me. You know, if you don't have much talent, you be sure you surround yourself with it.
That's right.
I thought they were asleep back there.
Yeah.
No.
He's
I think they were.
Hey, that's
Parliament of
that's
Owls.
that's
So
impressive.
That was good.
That was good.
The
So
peanut
that-
gallery. helped
seriously,
it out.
the most bizarre answers I've ever heard to any questions we've had. Other than I had no idea these bizarre names for a collective of animals out there.
Tasha, we're trying to learn you something.
But you have learned me a lot.
We're going to learn you today.
Mac, your voice. Are you back to smoking Marlboros?
Parliaments.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Good job,
Pretty
good.
Mac.
We have really enjoyed having y'all.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank y'all for being
love
here.
being here.
Isaac, you're sitting in a pretty good spot right there with being able to go turkey hunting with your dad and learn this business, learn the call business, and man,
So-
you got a lot of
You
upside.
know what they call me now, don't you?
No.
The last man standing.
Yeah. Old man.
Yep.
That'd be
Getting there.
another good nickname for a new striker.
Yeah, that's right.
LMS.
LMS.
Hey, let me ask y'all this: do y'all know why the cowboy got a wiener dog?
Oh, no.
God.
Please cut this out. Please edit this out.
He wanted to get a long little doggy.
Get along, little dog.
I want to apologize in front of all y'all
Can
for
y'all
driving
fix-
all this
can
way
y'all fix
and
this
to be
in post?
subjected to something so vile as
don't-
Bobby's jokes.
I don't think y'all have a sense of humor. I
We don't.
understand it.
We
Wow.
don't. I think you just killed it off in us.
I think you just used your one sense of humor.
Maybe I need to get some white New Balances and wear them for a couple of years, and then I can understand
Might help. Yeah.
what those jokes a little better.
Well, Mike, thank you for making this trip over here.
I want to
And,
invite
uh,
any one of you to come. Let's hunt. Let's share a tree.
Chase 'em.
Uh-oh.
You
He,
know, you
Bobby's
put-
go- look at him. He's
back
gonna
to back.
show up.
Yeah, Bobby, you don't ask if you don't
He
want
beat
him.
you to the punch.
you can learn a lot about
I was going to invite myself.
your
but you did it
friends
for me.
and family by sharing the tree. I think there's so
That's
much can
exactly
be
right.
done with
Oh,
a back
it is.
against the tree. It's
Yeah,
fun.
No doubt about
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, we just really admire what you guys have done for the hunting industry, the turkey hunting industry specifically, and we're all in this together.
Yes.
But
Yep.
we've always heard great things about you guys.
Thank you. I really
Yeah, and
appreciate it.
they're a great partner for what we do and working together on stuff. It's more than just like a licensee and a promotional thing. So
No doubt about it.
yeah, and so, and you know, at the end of the day, I get asked like the brand. You know, that's like the brand. It's like, you know, it is the people. That is the thing. That is just how it is, and it should be. And that's what. Same way with him. And I've watched how he grew, and he's surrounded himself with a lot of really good people. And he works at it. And you go through them and you learn who's good and not, and you're adding. But he has so much ambition for the people and the people he's around. And I admire that a bunch.
Somebody bring me a piece of paper.
Well, we got one right here.
Depending on what's on it, I might have one.
Yeah, no, just a notebook or something big enough. I need something big, like a
you go.
notebook. Yeah, that like Bobby's pad right there. I want to show you something that I learned. I'm going to tell you something about this right here. I was praying about something in the middle of the night, and you don't believe God answers prayer, I'm going to use your last sheet in case it bleeds through, because it's a Sharpie. But this came truly, when you ask, if you don't believe, then you're just hoping.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't ask God believing that he's going to answer you, why ask? You're just hoping.
Mm-hmm.
I was praying about something, and he gave me an answer, clear as day. And I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to write this down. Very simple. And I shared it the next day because I was praying, thought I had it all figured out. We think it's about me. But when you change your perspective, it's really not about me. It's about we.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
I mean, you turn it this way, but if you turn it over, it's really not about me.
It's about we.
It's
There
about
it
we.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
go.
it said.
It is,
But
yeah.
God put that straight on my heart, and in an early morning thing, and I was able to share that. It's not just about me. It's not just Toxic. It's not just Mike. It's not just Bob. It's not. It's about we.
It is. It's a sad thing that people that don't realize that actually.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no problem. Well, you
Got
got
it.
real serious on us there at the end, and that's
Yeah,
But that's
good.
important.
That's
That's
very
that's
good.
very important. Messages like that are
it is.
right, wrong, or different, and especially if you remember it, because we all need reminders. That's why we need to be in prayer every day. That's
Every
right,
day.
and live our life like that.
That's right. This has been good. I've
Ring the
enjoyed it.
bell one more time, so I.
There it
Yeah,
is.
we got the posse over there that came up with the answer. I'm not sure who pulled that off. We got these fantastic cowboy boots
I had
over
to
here
show
on
them off
Isaac.
at the end here.
I
They
think
look
that's
good.
plucked
These-
turkey hide.
Old school caps, and it's been. Lane, you got another question?
I do. Do you have another question?
I don't.
You hadn't asked Dudley to ask the question in 2 weeks.
Dudley's got a bunch of questions. I'm trying to avoid him. So why don't you say goodbye, Dudley?
Goodbye, Dudley.
Get us out of here, Richie.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Gamekeeper Podcast, and be sure to tune in again. Subscribe to Gamekeeper Farming for Wildlife magazine, and don't miss the Mossy Oak Properties Fistful of Dirt podcast with my good buddy, Ronnie Cuz Strickland.